Police are not commenting on a motive tonight, but police and city leaders are aware of the widespread comments that began circulating in the community on social media shortly after the shooting, suggesting that it may have been in some way racially motivated. That's the question for a lot of people this evening, people who are searching for answers, and so we asked Mayor Tom Barrett about those concerns. Mayor, can you address the widespread comments about a possible racial motive here?
Right now, there's an investigation going on. I think it's premature to speculate on anything. I think this is the time to, again, be there to grieve and to support the families. I'm sure there'll be time in the future to talk about many things involving this investigation.
Now, there are still a lot of questions and a number of things that authorities have not yet confirmed. Here's what 12 News has learned so far. Police just confirming that the shooter is identified as 51-year-old Anthony Farrell of Milwaukee, an electrician at the Miller Brewery. Sources also tell us that Farrell had 2 handguns with him during the shooting, including one with a silencer. The Journal-Sentinel is citing sources who indicate that Farrell had a long-running dispute with at least one co-worker, and neighbors tell 12 News that Farrell at one point believed the company was spying on him. And again, police are not commenting on a motive for the shooting.
And Kent, did police say where their investigation stands or what's next? They have so much ground to cover.
Yeah, they do. And no, they're not commenting other than to say the investigation is ongoing. We know that they're focused on Farrell's background and the search of his home, but the public focus for police, for city leaders, and for everyone connected to the Molson Coors community right now is on the victims and the families of those men who lost their lives in this shooting.
And that investigation continues. Ken Wainscott live at police headquarters.
We are learning more about the shooter, Anthony Farrell. Our cameras captured police removing items from his house today.
12 News' Derek Rose is live outside the house. And Derek, you talked to people who knew Farrell and worked with him. How do they describe him?
Well, they describe him as a hardworking family man. You know, you mentioned police being here at Anthony Farrell's home all night into today. At some points, as you showed there, they were moving a lot of evidence from this home. But people who live in this community find it very hard to believe it was their neighbor who could open fire on 5 co-workers. The person they described to me as knowing is someone who was a family man, who was hardworking, but was working in an extremely uncomfortable environment. At Anthony Farrell's home Thursday, 12 News cameras were there as investigators pulled a tub full of evidence covered in brown wrapping out the side door, hoping to explain more about the deadly shooting at Molson Coors. But people who tell us they knew the 51-year-old claim he's not the type of person they thought would carry out a mass shooting.
Yeah, I would have expected him to be someone, to do that.
This woman who asked not to be identified claims she worked with Farrell for 3 years.
Hardworking, problem-solving, good person.
But there was one problem the woman told us could not be solved.
A lot of racial things there that shouldn't go on there.
What kinds of things?
People would openly say the N-word in front of me. Was incidents where we had a work meeting and somebody, put a noose in the bathroom there and, said something, and, no one should have to deal with that. She told me she addressed the problems with the offenders directly, but regrets not going to management. But I said it for myself, you know what I mean? You're not going to do that around me. Plain and simple. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Some people wouldn't talk to me, after that. Neither Milwaukee police, the FBI, or Molson Coors would respond directly to the allegations of a toxic racial environment. And back in Farrell's neighborhood, growing disbelief about the investigation still unfolding.
So I never thought he was in that where he would do anything like this. So, like I said to the kids, something went wrong that triggered him that way.
Derek, do you have any indication whether Farrell filed any complaints?
No indication of that just yet, Patrick. No response from Molson Coors. That former co-worker said she talked to the people who she heard using the N-word directly, but says she did not go to management. We also reached out to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the agency which handles and investigates workplace discrimination. Spokesperson with the EEOC said they could not confirm or deny the existence of an investigation related to Anthony Farrell or Molson Coors, and they said, at least we checked court records, and there were no lawsuits filed by the EEOC on behalf of Anthony Farrell.